Hello guys, thank you Yush for the introduction. So today I'm going to speak about Verifiable Fully Homomorphic Encryption with Greco, which is the library that I built to achieve that. And I'm Enrico and I do MPC research at PSE. So what's the outline of the presentation? As we don't have much time at disposal, I won't really go into the technical details of the proving system. I'm gonna leave you a link to go do your own research. Instead, we're gonna focus on the why, why we need this type of verifiable fully homomorphic encryption. We're gonna start with an application, which, as Andrew explained, is gonna be like the PSI that you see in ZK Summit 11 built by Cursive. Then we're gonna analyze a possible attack on the application as it is right now, and we're gonna lightly explore how Greco can be used to mitigate this attack. So first of all, we know the application is PSI for signature as built by Cursive team as ZK Summit 11. So let's analyze the security requirement of this application is that a user shouldn't know anything about the other user collecting signature more than the signatures that are in the intersection of the ones collected by both parties. So if I do this PSI with Andrew and I get to know more than I should, so some of the signature that he collected that is not part of the intersection, there's something wrong in the security of the application. So this is the most dense and probably technical part of the presentation, but it's very important that you understand that. It's like a sort of UML diagram about the user flow of the PSI application. So here we have two users, Enrico and Sora, and the first part is a multi-party key generation. So me and Sora put together our own secret keys, and we generate a public key. The next step is to encrypt our own set using this public key to generate ciphertext E and ciphertext S. And as you see, the set of each party is a bit vector where at each index of this bit vector corresponds to a public key. So for example, we see at index 0 we have Sachin, and a 1 at index 0 means that Enrico collected Sachin's signature and also Sora collected Sachin's signature. Then we can pass this ciphertext to a centralized server, and the centralized server can run this PSI computation. So the cool part here is that this PSI, which is basically a subset of fully homomorphic encryption, can be run by any other party, and they are just operating on ciphertext. So they don't really have any requirement on knowing anything more than the ciphertext. And lastly, again, Enrico and Sora come together. They use their secret shares to decrypt this ciphertext, and the result will be a bit vector that is encoding once only at the indexes that corresponds to a signature that has been collected by both the users. So this is let's say the good case, there's no attack here. Oh, okay, yes, and this is a bit a zoom into what is actually the PSI computation. So we start with this is the encryptor ciphertext E, ciphertext S, and this is ciphertext out. So this is an encryption of this bit vector, and as you know, the encryption algorithm in fully homomorphic encryption is not deterministic. So from the outside, you cannot really distinguish from this. They are all just random stuff that you cannot tell whether it's a 0 or 1 from the outside. And the logic of this PSI is that the output bit vector will encode 1 only when both the inputs are 1, so only when there's actually an intersection. All the other cases will go to 0, meaning that there's no intersection. So what's the attack? If you remember the security assumption that we defined at the beginning, an attack will be if there's a user that is able to gather more information than required. So for example, gathering all the signatures collected by Sora, in this case the other user. So signatures that go beyond the ones that are just within this intersection. So this is the attack. I'm going to describe the attack, and later we're going to go through the mitigation, but you can already think about, starting from the title, maybe how you can mitigate this attack. So the attack is simply performed by changing this fake set, changing the set into a fake set, and this fake set will just encode basically once at every index. And the result, so if you remember like this slide, if the bits on the left are all 1, basically it means that the resulting vector will basically be equal to this. So it's like 1 times this vector equal to this vector. And as you can see from this attack, basically Enrico gets to know all the signatures that Sora collected. And we don't want that. This is like an attack, and maybe for like the ZK Summit 11 is not like a big deal if you get to know the signatures collected by someone else, but in a more, I don't know, application that has to deal with more sensitive data, of course you want to avoid that. So what's the mitigation? The mitigation is using something like Greco, which is the library that allows you to perform verifiable FHE encryption. So there are like 2 points here to analyze. So first of all, FHE, like until now we spoke about PSI. So what's the relation? Basically, PSI is a subset of the many operations that you can build with FHE. So starting from verifiable FHE, you can obtain verifiable PSI. And the fact that I say encryption seems like redundant, because FHE already means fully homomorphic encryption. But the point that I want to make is that this library only covers the encryption algorithm of the different algorithms of a FHE scheme. So the algorithm might be also like evaluation, like performing addition on encrypted data, performing multiplication on encrypted data. So these algorithms are not covered by Greco, only the encryption algorithm is covered by Greco. So how do we fix the application with Greco? It's simple. So we require the user not only to submit their ciphertext, so not only to submit the encryption of their bit vector, but also to attach a proof to that. And of course, this must be done by both the user, because we don't know which one may be the attacker. And what is the proof? What's this proof proving? So it's proving 2 statements. One is that the set E is correct according to the signature collected by Enrico. And the second thing is that ciphertext E is the correct result of encrypting set E using public key. So these are like 2 different statements. Now we're gonna analyze them more specifically and more, let's say, trying to understand how we can build this type of proof. So maybe there are different ways, but the way I would personally build that is like splitting into 2 different proofs. So one proof is the one that the proof saying that set E is correct according to the signature collected by Enrico, and this is more for like the cursive team, is more specific to the application, but this is, for example, can be built out of folding schemes, and this is also something that Jake is gonna explain next. But the second part is more generic, and this is basically reusable for any kind of application that requires this some FHE mechanism, and this is the proof that this just encryption function was performed correctly. So we can kind of abstract this logic into 2 proofs. So one is specific for the application, and it's like just a proof that is proving some statement about this message. And the second proof, which is the one provided by Greco, and the one that is generic, is about the correct encryption of this message. So if we want, for example, to apply this framework to another different application, let's think about a private voting application in which each vote is submitted as a ciphertext, as an encryption. Let's say that user should only vote either 0 or 1, and the tally is the sum of this encryption. In that case, the app-specific logic would just be enforcing the rule that the message is either a 0 or 1, and later we're going to also prove that the message has been encrypted, blah, blah, blah. So I also wanted to shield some numbers about that, because it's not just about shielding, but it's also to channel the idea that this fully homomorphic encryption is actually feasible. So as Andrew said before, this whole PSC operation on your smartphone takes just a few seconds, and even when we are trying to wrap an FHE operation inside ZK, is still very, very feasible. So you see different parameters. So this is the most important thing, the proof generation time, but basically it varies according to these parameters. And these are parameters that are basically a standard in FHE, and basically, let's say it simply, according to the complexity of your FHE circuit, the parameter are going to increase. And for example, in the application that the cursive team built, we are targeting the second line, the one where n is 2 to the power of 11. So you can see that still the proof is kind of doable. These are benchmarked on my laptop, so it might take a bit longer on a smartphone, but still, the order of magnitude is, I think, acceptable for any user facing app. And yeah, my presentation is finished. I invite you to check this blog post to understand more about Greco, and there you can also find links to the GitHub to the GitHub repository, and for if you're interested to apply that or to know more, just let me know. Thank you. Any question?
The indices used to create the bit vector, does that come from the Merkle tree of the public keys or something like that? How do you determine which index to display?
Okay, I will pass to Andrew because I think he knows better.
Yeah, that's basically pre-decided. There's a pre-decided ordering of the keys in the Merkle tree for every specific route you want to prove on. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Greco specifically. It applies to a specific FHE encryption scheme, right? How hard would it be to extend it to other ones, from your experience with Greco?
Okay, good question. So the part that we are that is proving is actually ring learning with error encryption. So as long as your scheme rely on that, you can easily adapt Greco to your scheme, and the schemes that are compatible with that are BFV, BGV, and TFHE too. No.
TFHE derives from LWE, but the same thing applies.
Right.
So you should be able to prove BGV, BFV, and TFHE in few. CT case would be hard because it works with real numbers, but BGV, BFV, TFHE in few should be fine.
FHE is the Zara?
Yes. Okay, so I'll pass to Jake.